Hello everyone! Warlords of Draenor will feature a whole bunch of rare spawns, exploration, random events, similar to what we've seen on the Timeless Isle. Only now they've brought it to the entire zone, which makes it an interesting experience to just go around and see what you can find. I'm sure that the good people over at Wowhead will eventually gather all the things we can find, make a nice list out of it, but for now I'd like to show you what I've been able to find. First up is the Time Warp Tower, also known as Mordul Tower. Outside the tower stand two ogres with a damaged Heimal artifact telling each other that magic is scary, that they didn't break it, and maybe they can fix it. The model of the item is the same as the Igniter Rod, which drops from Ignis in Ulduar. It has little planets floating around it, it's shooting beams to the tower, and when you step inside, time's frozen. You can loot the ogres that are inside for items, and what I found interesting is that it looks like they were in the middle of a battle. Some of the ogres, they're falling down or they're hanging on for their life, while up top the ogre is terrified of the fireballs coming his way. Is there any lore meaning behind this tower? Well, I doubt it, to be honest. I think it's a fun exploration thing, but who knows. Maybe Kairos Dormu or one of his Dragonflight, maybe he wanted to play a little trick. Maybe the ogres pissed off the wrong guy. Maybe they found a strange artifact that did this. Maybe insert your own story here. In the cracking plains, we find a lone orc traveler dead in the snow, apparently overwhelmed by ravenous tundra wolves. On his corpse, we find a note which says, "Karash, my wolf. I was so happy to find your note. I had to bite my knuckle to keep from yelling and waking up the other trappers. Of course I remember that day. You and Longhowl prowling the flats, looking so fierce. My unsteady aim, that pitiful throw. Can you believe we almost killed each other? Now I want nothing more than to live beside you for all my days. I know a place north across the flats behind the volcano overlooking Grumbalash. I will leave bones to mark the way. Come find me and we can be free together. Yours forever, Magra. P.S. I will keep Longhowl's fangs safe. Attached is my own good luck charm, the foot from my first successful snare. Bring it safely to me, or I will gut you like a hare." Ah, young orcish love. So apparently this orc has sent out a note and he was traveling to meet his love. This is only half of the note though. She replied to a note that he'd sent, and a little bit more into the zone at the Cold Snap Bluffs we find a young orc woman frozen in the snow. She's gazing southwest towards the icy flats and she's looking like she's waiting for someone, and she appears to be camping here for several days before succumbing to the bitter cold. She also holds a note which says, "Magra, my huntress. Another dull day at Stonefang Outpost. As I stare across the flats, I cannot help but think of you. Do you remember the day we met? I hurled my axe at your mount, and you nearly impaled me with a spear. It was love at first sight. Clans be damned, my mind is made up. I will leave it all to be with you. Choose the place, I will come. We'll leave Frostfire and make a life somewhere. I hear Nagrand is beautiful. Your future mate, Karash. P.S. I have enclosed Longhowl's first fang. I was wearing it around my neck that day. I hope it will guide me to you once again." A Thunderlord orc and a Frostwolf orc, they tried to be together, but things were not meant to be. So sad. So sad. When you combine their lucky charms, you get a couple of resources for your garrison, and that's about it. It's a nice, neat little story. There are a couple of areas with level 100 mobs, so it's very possible that we're going to return to this zone later on. I did a bit of exploration, and although the quests aren't finished yet, it is interesting to see that these ogres, they got Arakoa, they got orcs, they got Draenei, all enslaved, and they're all working for them. This is also the theme for the dungeon in this zone, the Bloodmaul slag mines. On the table, surrounded by ogres and meat hooks, there lies a dwarf in bandages and apparently in quite a lot of pain. Owen Gradok, member of the SI7, has apparently been captured by the ogres. He played a role during the novel The Shattering, a prelude to the Cataclysm, where he helped Varian with liberating Ironforge from Moira. I have no idea what he's doing here, and I can't wait to find out what the ogres did to him, what he's trying to do, and what the hell is his story. Around the same area, I found a group of orcs, the Iron Horde envoy. They were dead on the ground. In their satchel is a journal, which tells about what happened here. We have arrived at the Bloodmaul camp. Their chief, Borgal, refused to talk with me unless I promised to buy a few cartloads of slaves. The charge was of course way higher than I should have paid, but I need their goodwill on this mission. Borgas has agreed at a ridiculous price to have his slaves mine into the sites we have indicated and turn over to us anything that may be found. Even though the prophet Garrosh says that an artifact lays buried under this mountain, I question the wisdom of employing the Bloodmaul to find it. Orders are orders nonetheless. Prophet Garrosh. Well, now we know how the Iron Horde looks at Garrosh, and I suppose someone who can predict the future, who can stop you from drinking demon blood, will quickly rise up to the rank of prophets. They don't describe what the artifact is, and I have no idea. Perhaps it's one of the 7 Atamal crystals. Day 7 and 10, they talk about searching and finding nothing, while the ogres are starting to mumble about getting rid of them. Another pouch full of coins seems to smooth things over. Day 14. Late last night, there was a strange commotion in the southwest cave. What exactly happened, I'm not sure, but I observed several slaves hauling bodies out of the cave entrance. This might be from the soul grinder mentioned in the briefing. I don't know if this is related, but a Google search of the soul grinder brings us to one of Gruul's sons called Skullok Soul Grinder. In our timeline, he was trained by Vimgol the Vile, and we take him out to liberate the Bloodmaul clan in the Blade Edge Mountains. Perhaps the Iron Horde, or the ogres, they've been trying to enslave him. Perhaps he has lashed out and killed a couple of the miners. Perhaps this is something entirely different. Day 15. Borgal refused to turn over the artifacts. I will not allow that fat ogre to keep Iron Horde property. I have discussed the matter with my guards, and we are going to return in the morning and force him to hand over the artifacts. Or else. The following pages are blank. So the ogres, they found the artifacts, but they refused to hand it over, and this got the orcs killed. Borgal Doomfist, chieftain of the Bloodmaul, has taken the artifact for himself, and he's standing in the area with a buff around him called the Shield of Negation. It protects the caster from all physical and magical attacks until cancelled. If it is this artifact that gives this buff, then it's indeed a very nice artifact to have for your army. I'd imagine that a questline will lead us eventually here to free the slaves, to kill the ogres, take this artifact, and get it away from the Iron Horde and the ogres. That's just my prediction though. When you do the initial questline of Frostfire Ridge, you make your way to Wargol and you undergo a ritual which attunes you to the Shaman stones and gives you a speed buff. As I was exploring the area with Yubi, we came across a green stone similar to the one in the village, and a message popped up saying that we've received a new buff. At first it seemed like nothing had changed, no buff was really visible, but when I returned to my garrison and when I clicked on the stone, I got options to change my buff from a speed buff to a buff that will sometimes summon a Frostwolf to help me out. Wowhead probably has a list already with all the different buffs, but I can't wait to find more of them and see what all the effects are. There are more things to find in the zone, but I'm not going to cover every single detail. It's still an alpha and still a lot's going to change. That will come when it's beta or when it's live. There was this one spot though that I want to mention. This had a skeleton near a stone, and when I picked it up, it was an obsidian frostwolf petroglyph, and it apparently increases your primary profession trained. But the PH note said that it increases your archaeology skill. Another spot, there was this big lava worm that had spawned, and you apparently have to feed him ogres to get him down, but it was bugged and I couldn't get it to work. Another spot where a sign said gone fishing, and when I checked out the area there were a bunch of corpses, and inside the cave there was a pale orc, very similar to Goblin, which attacked me. World events are of course also here, which are actually marked on your map, and you need to defrost a couple of frostwolves, kill a couple of enemies, and you do all of this for garrison resources. A whole bunch of stuff is waiting to be explored, waiting to be killed, and waiting to be explored again. I'm impressed to be honest with how much you could find, and the zone isn't even finished yet. Hopefully tonight or in the coming week we'll be able to explore Shadowmoon Valley and see what kind of exploration we can do there. But for now I'm going to end this video. I hope you enjoyed this quick look. Subscribe if you like my videos, and until next time guys, see ya!
Our bond is iron, our will unbreakable. Who will stand against us?